Here we go. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Hybrid Radio podcast on Hybrid Radio, njhybridradio.com. What's up, everybody? Yay. It's been a long time since I did a podcast, so a little rusty, but let's get back into it. We got a great crowd. We got lots of stuff to talk about today. Lots of album review, lots of television shows to review, movies, and also some news as well. And thank you, everybody. All right. Sit down. Thank you, Stick With It All. And thank you guys out there. Like I said, I'm Jarrell, and this is the Hybrid Radio Podcast. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. It's been a couple weeks since we did the show, but we are back, and we got a lot of things to talk about. First, let me introduce my co-host. Give it up for Drew.
Thank you.
How you doing there, Drew? It's been a long time since I've seen you.
It's been forever.
And I see you got a nice, sexy, like a porno mustache going on here.
It's for the ladies.
Yes. And also, you usually have that big beard, you know.
They like the mustache rides.
Yeah.
But I did it at the wrong time because everybody's rocking a mustache right now because it's Movember. I wasn't aware that people grew mustaches in November.
Yeah.
So, joke's on me.
Well, actually, it's you're got the part, though, so you're just fitting in. You hate that. You're obeying, as they would say in the movie They Live, you know.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, today's show, we are going to be reviewing some new albums. We got a couple W bands. One, we got the new album from Weezer we're going to talk about. All you indie kids out there love that Weezer. And, you know, you've been dying for a new Weezer album for about, 13 months? And now they're finally back with a new record. Also, we're going to be talking about Woo. Put up your W's for the Wu-Tang Clan. They have a new album that just came out. And we're going to talk about that as well. I'm a big fan back in the 90s, and we'll see if they live up to the hype of their older records. And we're going to do my buddy Drew a favor and talk about some
Don't
metal.
do me any favors.
We're going to talk about the new Converge record, which is not a favorite to him, obviously. I'm just as curious as he was to hear about it because, you know, we probably both heard and listened to the band around the same time, being that we are old dinosaurs here. And we'll talk about that record. Moving away from music, we are going to be doing a review, or I'm going to do a review in our edition of our of a thing we do on the show called Binge or Cringe. I'm going to talk about the latest season of Fuller House and tell you what I think of that one.
I could tell you based on the first season that it is definitely a cringe.
You'll see, man, because, you know, I'm sure you watched the show back in the day and you're just excited to see the old gang back as I was.
No,
okay.
I'm not.
Okay. Also, we got some news topics for you tonight. We're going to talk about the Warped Tour, the punk rock, carnival tour that would happen every summer, is going to be coming to an end next year. And also, Drew, I got to ask you, are you at all German whatsoever?
No
German?
Not as far as I know.
So this the other story we're going to talk about will not offend you whatsoever then. But all you Germans out there,
I'm very easily offended.
We're going to talk about a funny situation that happened to a German out in actual Germany over the summer or a couple days ago. I saw on the news. I thought it was kind of funny story, so we'll talk about it in the lighthearted section of the news. And, that's so, like I said, jam-packed show. So, thank you guys for coming out. How are you guys doing out there? Awesome. All right, so, real quick, before we start, I like to talk about the drinks we're going to have tonight. So, this is a non-pay week because, you know, I get paid bi-weekly. I don't know why I don't have, if I ever was running for president.
It's the worst.
It would be daily paychecks. I've been trying to have that, but the closest I've got was weekly, but if someone can get daily paychecks, that'd be great.
Weekly was so much better. I haven't had a weekly paycheck job in 10 years.
I know, right? Which is the same job I had with you.
It's so much easier to budget.
Yeah. So since I'm not getting paid till the day before Thanksgiving, which is also the biggest drinking day of the year, so I will be probably blowing my whole check as soon as I get it. I had to go cheap today for the drinks. So tonight we'll be drinking some Budweiser as well as some drinks that you brought.
The king of beers.
Yes. And we're going to help toast to America. And also, when it comes to rum, I like to drink, the Captain. So we had to go a little cheaper, get the Admiral Nelson we're drinking tonight.
Holy shit.
Yes.
This is the worst thing I've ever seen.
You never heard of that?
Admiral Nelson's.
Yes.
I've never heard of this.
Oh, wow, man.
Holy shit.
It's the same taste, but, not the same taste. It's the same, spiced rum name at the bottom.
Oh, God.
But it's way cheaper.
Yeah, I can tell.
And usually the cheapest drinks get you more effed up, and this is kind of happening because while waiting for Drew to show up for this show, I said, well, I'll just have a glass, and I'm already feeling pretty well right now.
I have also cheap. I bought a 30-pack of this for $15.
What do you got today?
It's one of my favorite beers from Genesee Brewery, Genesee Cream Ale. It's creamy, it's tasty, it's warm in your mouth, it leaves a nice aftertaste.
Sort of like, man.
Like me. And I brought also another one of my favorite cheap beers, Narragansett Lager in the throwback Jaws can. This is the
can, from the movie.
The can that they were drinking Narragansett Lager in Jaws on the boat.
The bigger boat. The smaller boat. Oh, the bigger boat.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't know.
No, both. I think they were just drunk through the entire movie. This is the throwback can they did for their 40th anniversary, quote, limited edition can. The interesting thing is their anniversary would have been 2015. So I don't know about this. So
it's the 42nd anniversary of the beer.
This is but I think it was the 40th. So this may be a little old.
Yeah, that might be it. Yeah.
That being said, it's fucking cool. It looks like an old timey beer can from the 70s.
It doesn't say the word beer in big letters, though. Unfortunately,
it does say can in the big letters, though.
Yeah.
No, it's and it's super cheap and it doesn't taste like shit.
No, what's actually interesting is it doesn't have the. I thought cans back in the day had that different label.
Oh yeah, I wish I had. I wish they went completely.
You just peel it off to open it,
like old timey.
The tab
beer can, but it's got the print.
Yeah, that's cool.
Print's cool.
Well, I'm gonna have to try that as well as obviously I've had Budweiser for many years, and that's my redneck go-to drink.
It's the king of beers.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have sponsoring the hell out of that thing, man. They gotta send some money our way. We said it twice now. We said your tagline twice, Budweiser. You gotta send them some checks our way.
You know what I find so interesting about beer is that they always have to have a tagline. This is the king of beers, Budweiser, which I don't think anybody thinks is the king of beers. The Genesee is New York's oldest brewery, founded in 1878.
That's their tagline?
That is their tagline. That's, something they got.
That's very catchy.
And Narragansett's tagline is a fucking bunch of bullshit on the back about being your neighbor and talking about Jaws being a thing, and they don't mention it by name, though. They just say the captain.
Oh, the movie with the shark that never died. We won't say what it is, though. All right, so cool. Let me try. I will try.
Which one haven't you had?
I haven't had either because I
haven't had either.
I wasn't around this in '75, so I didn't see that. I'll have the lager beer first. What is this called? The
Narragansett.
Narragansett. I can't really read big words.
The best thing about it, they do like a sixer of 16-ounce cans for like $9.
All right, so
you can't beat that shit.
You hear that sound? I'm gonna take a little swiggy, guys. Don't mind. Cheers to me and have a good show. You don't have to applaud that. Come on. All right, so I'm gonna drink this. It tastes like the 70s.
It does taste like the 70s. Exactly. The 70s was a wild time for beer.
I feel hallucinogenics happening already. There's like all these colors.
You had your Narragansetts. You had Budweiser, the king of beers.
Yeah.
The 70s was a wild time.
Yeah. All right. So since it's been a couple weeks since I've seen you, Drew, how was your Halloween, man?
Fucking boring.
Oh, because that's your favorite holiday of all. And
I got off of work and I came home and I sat on the couch and then I went to bed.
No horror movies.
I did have a party a few days before on Saturday. I got shit-faced on Miller High Life, mainly because it was an 80s party, and I thought that was the most 80s beer that I could find.
Right.
Because
next to some
I feel like
Light, but yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like tracking down some Zima would have been a little bit too difficult. But yeah, we
Barles and James, yes.
The plan was to get really drunk and watch the new Stranger Things because it was like a horror themed show. It was good for Halloween, and then the thing was we had been drinking for 5 hours before that, and suddenly Stranger Things wasn't that interesting. You'd be surprised at how much you don't want to sit in front of a TV
Right.
after you've had 12 beers.
You're just yakking and yakking. And you're like, wait, I'm not even paying attention to the show. Might as well turn it off. Yeah. It's just interesting about, you know, you have this plan like I'm going to get drunk all day long, and it never paces out. But luckily, you didn't like just pass out like, you know, like at 1 in the afternoon.
Oh, I did not. Not only did I not pass out, I sobered up a little bit so that I didn't throw up the next day.
Yeah.
I laid down in bed, and I stayed at my guest's house. And then I don't actually have cable now. I have an app called Sling TV.
Yes.
And what I did was I pulled out my phone, I connected to their Wi-Fi, I put it next to the bed next to me, and I think it was IFC, maybe it was El Rey, was doing a double feature of Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. So I fell asleep to that.
They did not want to go to the third one for some reason, but that's weird, but okay.
I know. It's always either the first two or the third one.
Yeah, it's like they forget that they're a trilogy for some reason.
They should have called it the Medieval Dead instead of Army of Darkness.
Yeah, exactly. You should have been there during the when they were constructing that. You were alive during the time, but they didn't consult you.
They actually that was the working title of Army of Darkness.
Oh, it was. Okay, a little fun fact for you guys out there. So for me, as you know, for Halloween, I took the kids out, whatever, because I'm waiting for the Halloween to come on the weekend, and I'm gonna go buck wild again. By then, the kids will be old enough.
Sound so upset. You know, you can drink and take
kids out. Yeah,
trick or treating.
Some of my friends do this.
It's not very dangerous. I've heard.
Yeah, it's just not as fun to drink around children. You know.
I beg to differ.
It's just you have to be responsible for them. I'm saying. You don't know what I'm talking about, so it's true.
I mean, what's going to happen if you're drunk walking your kids down the street?
Then my wife will be like, how come I'm not drunk? It's not fair. And then we have to argue about who's the drunkest, and then it comes to a big issue. We're arguing while they're walking in traffic. It's just like, I don't want to hear that.
I have a really simple solution for that. Your wife gets drunk too.
Yeah. I try to get her to get drunk with me, but she just does not want to. I'm like, let's get drunk today. And then she just doesn't follow the same thing because one of us has to hear the kids crying and stuff. So it's like, well, is that going to be me? So it's like a race. Who gets drunk first? And it's like,
a shame.
I'm too late. I'm too drunk.
With the advent of Uber, it's just if one of us says, let's get drunk today, then it's all right. We're good. We got delivery.com. We got Uber. We can both be drunk.
What a time to be alive where we can be totally like vegetables and stuff and lazy as all ever. So what I did was a couple weeks later, the next weekend, I went to Brooklyn to see one of my favorite podcasts called Double Toasted, where they do movie reviews and stuff. So they're from Austin. They flew out to have like a big event in Brooklyn, and I was hoping they would have it in like Manhattan because being New Jersey is a lot easier to get Manhattan. Went to Brooklyn, saw them there, met some people. It's a really good podcast. Make sure you check out doubletoasted.com. They do really good reviews of new movies that come out.
So you're networking.
I'm networking.
Is this a write-off?
Hopefully. I met them last year, and he actually remembered meeting me. So it was kind of one of the hosts of the show. So it was cool to meet everybody, but the only problem was since it was daylight savings time, I was thinking to myself, well, maybe they'll have a second train when it becomes 1 o'clock again.
You're lucky that they had a first train.
Yeah, I was, because every time I go to the city, there's an issue with New Jersey Transit, and I bitched a lot about it. And I said to myself, every time, this is the fucking last time I'm dealing with New Jersey Transit, but I have no other choice. What am I gonna do? Drive drunk home on the fucking the bridge? Fuck that. So I gotta take the bridge. I gotta take the train and risk being trapped in New York a whole night like fucking Macaulay Culkin. I'm not good with the traps, everything like that. So I don't know how to save myself when 2 burglars try to kill me. But I will definitely try. I would definitely rather that than driving drunk home.
What you do know how to do is try to crash on my couch.
Yeah.
The only thing that you fucked up was not realizing that I go to bed at 10 o'clock.
Oh yeah, what Drew was talking about was I was wasted at that point. I'm like, you know what? Let me see what Drew's doing at this time. And I text him like, what are you doing?
He was like, you got to come out to this comedy show. I'm like, it is 9:30 at night. And then you were like,
technically it was 8:30 because it was daylight savings
and
time.
It was Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So to get out there would have taken me like over an hour, probably closer to 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I was already in my jammy jams. And then we had a discussion about how Brooklyn sucks and how you were going to be trapped out there.
Yeah, it's funny how I said I'm going to be trapped, and you had
how I didn't want to get trapped.
I have no care in the world.
And then I woke up to a text message of you saying, "Hey, how far from Newark are you?"
Yeah, because
I'm guessing you ended up trapped in Newark.
Almost. This is what happened. I got on a train, went to Newark, and then we're like, all right, so we can't get the train back to where I live. Well, actually, I did. And there's a transfer. There's other people on the train. Like, oh, is there a train to Denellen? Is this a train to Denellen? Like, oh, well, in Newark it's going to transfer over. So I'm like, oh wait, Denellen is a few stops before where I got to get off. So I'll just follow them. But for some weird reason, my bladder was saying to myself, "You have to pee as soon as you get to Newark. You're not going
That's what happens
all
in
the way
Newark.
home." So I get to Newark, and I must have been in that bathroom for like maybe 30 seconds. I get out, and I look at I'm all right, let me look at the schedule, and there's nothing saying going to my place. And the people I saw on the train before are gone. And it's like, are you saying we got off the train, they put up the sign and saying the train is leaving now, they got on the train and left, they took it off the thing in 30 seconds?
Here's the thing about people and trains.
Okay.
Everybody's got advice, and nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, so but the people that I'm understanding that maybe the people that are telling the other people were wrong. But where the fuck did the people go that were going to Denellen? They're gone. They're just a phantom. They're just obliterated from like all of existence. So I'm stuck in Newark, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to take the other train that's going to Trenton, which is nowhere near where I live, and figure it out. I'll figure it out because I'm drunk. And
Took a train to Trenton?
I'm going to take the train to Trenton. I'll figure it out. And then when I'm drunk on the train, I'm on a train, sorry. I'm like, wait a minute. This train goes to New Brunswick, which is a little bit closer to where I live than Trenton. I'll just get off there. And then now the whole question is, who was awake at 2:00 in the morning? 1:00 in the morning because daylight savings time. Even though I'm on that thing, but no one else is looking at that. Everyone thinks it's 2:00, but I'm the only one that realizes where it's an hour earlier. Let's fucking party, but no one had that plan. So I'm fucking like calling people or texting people. No one's answering, and finally, the ninth person I've texted was my brother-in-law.
The ninth person.
I'm like, dude, like, are you? What are you doing? He's like, in bed. I'm like, you want to come to Brunswick and pick me up? Which is like 20 minutes out of his way. But the point is, it's more because he's in bed. But fucking best brother-in-law ever came out to New Brunswick and picked me up because I was like, well, I guess I'll hang out in New Brunswick all night. Which New Brunswick, for you guys who are not from New Jersey, is the college like party area, but not so much at 2 a.m. So
it's gotten a lot lamer.
Yeah,
more recently.
Lamer for us because we're older. But in my drunken state, if it was,
you would have found found a frat party or something. You would have found something to do.
But I called him first as a backup, and he was coming. So I was like, all right, cool. So I'll just deal with that. So I got home. Don't worry, Drew. I'm sure you slept. You were up all night wondering if I fucking got home.
Well, here's your problem. You need to text people earlier and come up with a game plan.
Right.
Every time I go into Brooklyn, I either know somebody's going and driving, or I figure out how much an Uber to Manhattan is going to be and how much an Uber from Newark to my house is going to be.
All right.
This is like a week before.
In case it's a worst case scenario. I'm the complete opposite. I'm like, I'm going to get stuck in this town. It's going to be fucking awesome. Bars open till 4 in the morning. It's
You were a father of children, man.
But what I didn't know, too, man, I knew I was a father. I knew that. But what I also didn't know is that all the bars are open until 4 o'clock in New York. Just some are. So I have to run around looking for bars open at 4 in the morning.
Well, and that's another possibility is that you could just stay out all night.
Right, that was my plan. But
that's a fucking terrible plan. Here's okay. So what you could have done, and what would have saved everybody a lot of trouble and a lot of heartache, was you could have texted people at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and been like, "Hey, I'm going to Brooklyn. I might not make it home. Can I crash on your couch?" Yeah, because I would have been cool with that, and also not dance around that shit at 9 o'clock at night, where it's like, oh, I think I might end up stuck in the city. I don't know. Because if you had texted me at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and been like, hey, can I crash on your couch? I would have been like, to my fiance, hey, can he crash here?
Yeah.
And she would have been fine with it.
I'm actually looking.
I don't know how fine she would have been at it with it if it was like 10 or 11 and she was already asleep.
What's ironic? I asked a friend who actually lives in Brooklyn a week before, and he's like, I'm gonna probably be out that night. So I I didn't.
That sounds
I,
like a
I didn't
bullshit
even,
answer.
I didn't even think about you. And then when I was texting him
You
back,
didn't think about me.
he's like, how did you make out? I'm like, dude, I'm on the fucking train back home. Like, and I don't know. I might get stuck in New Brunswick. He's
Okay.
Like, oh, that sucks. And that's all he said.
Here's the thing: you need to drop that friend ASAP. If you go, hey, I'm going out to your hood. You mind if I crash at your place? And he goes, I'm going to be out that night.
Yeah.
How is that a fucking excuse? You are also out that night.
Yeah.
You can be out that night together.
Right. He was out with other friends from out of town, he said. And I've only known him since 7th grade, so that's why it's like he's not really that long term of a friend, you know. So we
a fucking asshole. Drop his ass.
all right. Well, I guess I will. He's from Brooklyn anyway. This is hipster talk, so I'm not going to get mad at him. So other than that, I know that from next time. Next time I go to New York, I will definitely let you know.
I'll run it by the missus, and then we'll end up watching Ernest movies all night long on the couch.
But speaking of movies, I did catch up on some horror flicks that will make you happy. As you guys might, if you heard our Halloween edition of the show,
I can't wait to because I haven't been catching up on horror flicks.
The Halloween episode of our show, we were talking about. I was talking about movies that you should watch during a Halloween party, and I mentioned a movie that I actually haven't even seen yet, but I finally did watch it. I finally saw Dead Alive, the best movie that what's his name ever did.
Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson, yes, thank you. Everyone talks about
Academy Award nominated director.
Yeah, everyone says.
I think he was nominated for Dead Alive actually.
Yeah, everyone says no. The Frighteners is his peak. But I'm like no. Dead Alive was his peak.
Here's the thing about The Frighteners. It's not a bad movie.
Yeah.
That's where he started selling out though.
That's the first movie I saw by him in the theaters. I think the last one too. No wait, no. Yeah, it's the last one. So Dead Alive, great movie, great. Like
amazing.
When you talk about like people that are all like gore whores, or what is it called?
Gore horse. It should be called gore horse.
Gore horse.
Gore hounds.
Yeah, it's not like that when you're watching fucking like Hostile, but this movie is fun. It's just like the gore.
Everybody's getting torn to pieces.
Yeah. It's like, and then I'm telling people like, dude, this guy fucking like the same thing you said. He's got gets a fucking like spoiler alert, you guys, because I'll spoil it for you, but you can't imagine it until you see it. Gets a fucking like lawnmower, and he's like just mowing down zombies.
Straps it to his chest.
Yeah, and then I told my daughter about that, and then she's like, "Do you mean like a weed whacker, right?" I'm like, "Nah, dude." She's holding an actual lawnmower and just running into a whole like herd of zombies and like dicing them up, like
and
sliding on blood.
And while that's happening, it's cutting away to other shit that's happening in the house.
Yeah,
like a woman getting her face torn apart because she has a baby living on her head that like burrowed into her head. And
yeah.
All this crazy shit.
And the light bulb hit the girl in the back, or the zombie in the back of the head, and then his face lights up. They did a good job with like the practical effects with that movie. So I thought that was great. I will definitely check co-sign what I literally said 3 weeks ago. Definitely put this movie on for like Halloween parties. It's really fun movie. And then also, I don't know if you've seen this movie yet, Drew. We watched Lights Out a couple days ago.
Yeah. No.
Oh, it's a good movie, man.
I haven't seen Lights Out because it looked really dumb.
It's cool,
I saw Don't Breathe, and every time somebody says, "Oh, have you seen Lights Out?" I think, "Yes, I did," and then I realize it's not the movie I was thinking of.
Yeah,
because Don't Breathe is a movie where the lights are out. And,
okay, so
I'm easily confused.
Lights Out is not dumb. It's a very tight.
It looked
film.
like Insidious or like one of those stupid fucking
it's
supernatural
short
movie.
Well, it is supernatural, but it's shorter, and it's not like this long-winded film. And at the same time, they took a short that was 2 minutes, made it a longer hour and 25-minute film, and there's nothing that's like, oh, this is dragging. It's short. It's very creepy. Check out Lights Out, both of you. It's everyone out there, both you listeners and you too, Drew.
All 15 people on the YouTube. Yeah. I'm gonna make a suggestion while we're at it.
Okay.
A movie that I just saw recently for the first time, and I should have seen it forever ago. Driller Killer. I saw last night.
Okay.
It's the first movie. I think it was the first movie by Abel Ferrara, who is probably best known for Bad Lieutenant, which is a movie probably best known for receiving an NC-17 rating for Harvey Keitel's dick being out.
Okay.
Just about a dude, an artist in New York, just trying to make it, and life gets too much for him, and he goes around killing people with a drill. It's exactly the way it sounds, and it's just so cathartic.
Is
and
this
it's so
70s
relatable.
film?
Yeah, 79.
Just once you said that, I'm like, this got to be from the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're into like old New York shit, if you're into
if you find Taxi Driver too mainstream and
Yeah.
too tamed.
it's essentially Taxi Driver as a slasher movie.
Yeah. Okay.
I saw it last night for the first time. Not his best work, but you can see the threads being woven into his better later work. Highly recommended that, and also Miss 45, which is essentially Driller Killer, but it's a woman and she has a gun.
Okay. So it's kind of like Hobo with a Gun. You ever see that movie? Hobo with
a Shotgun.
Yeah.
It's still in my Netflix queue.
Okay. Damn. Okay. We got to get on the same page. With
I'm
film
so
sometime.
behind.
Yeah.
What we got to do, I think, is just have a movie-a-thon where we just MST3K it, just broadcast while we're watching all these schlocky movies on Netflix.
And we'll make commentary and air it. It'll be so
Yeah.
hilarious. No one ever thought of that. All right. So.
Well, we'll do it best.
Okay.
So.
We'll do it better than those guys, man. All right.
Fuck
So.
Riff Tracks. This is NJ Hybrid Radio.
So also, I've been watching some Netflix shows, including the one I'm about to tell you about right now. Now we get to another edition of my our show Binge or Cringe, where I watch,
Binge or cringe.
I like that. We should have like a theme song to it. So basically, what this show is about is I watch a show that is streaming on one of the platforms, and I tell you if you guys should binge or cringe it. And today's edition of Binge or Cringe will feature the show Fuller House Season 3 Part 1. And this is the first part of the season, which has 9 episodes, and then the remaining 9 episodes will be added to Netflix in December. I will try not to spoil this show.
Spoil the fuck out of it. Nobody's watching the show.
I'm not going to spoil it. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen the first 2 seasons, there will be spoilers. And there will definitely be spoilers if you never watched the original show, Full House. And there will absolutely be spoilers if you have never heard of either show, never watched it before.
Spoiler alert, Danny Tanner's wife is dead.
Uh-oh. Okay, so this latest season continues to follow DJ and her friend Kimmy and Stephanie as they are living in their parents' house and helping her raise her 3 kids and also Kimmy's daughter as well. Obviously, I watched the show Full House in the late 80s and early 90s, so I've witnessed DJ as a little girl all the way up to high school and now as a working mom. And I can honestly say, Drew, she is way lamer now than she was when she was in high school.
And she was like the lame character in the old show.
Yeah, she was actually like the least coolest one on the show. And that's saying a lot because Joey Gladstone was lame too. But you know how they used to say, like, oh, you're a geek burger. Oh, you're a nerd bomber. She's actually become a geek burger on this show because
you don't want to become a geek burger.
Yeah, her jokes are corny, much like everyone else's jokes in the show. She's incredibly awkward, especially when she's attempting to be romantic. Like one episode, she puts on like a red cocktail dress, like soft music, and like tries to like dance towards her boyfriend Matt. And she moves like a fucking like Chuck E. Cheese animatronic puppet.
Well, I'll tell you why.
Because
she's like an ultra right wing conservative Christian.
Well,
and that's the closest to sex that she's ever had. She had to pray to Jesus right before and after filming.
Yeah, every time. Yeah, okay. Well, maybe that's the reason I didn't pick up on that. So she's got that boyfriend.
Oh, not the character, the actress.
Yeah. Well, I thought she's trying to incorporate that into the character nowadays, but she's dancing to her boyfriend Matt like all awkwardly. And speaking of that boyfriend, let's get to this one thing that's fucking bothering me the fucking shit out of me about this show. All right, here we go. So, as you know, it's like the parallels between the 2 shows are like, identical. Like in this show, on the other show, like Danny's wife died, so like the friend and the family member comes to help raise the kid. Same thing with this show. Like DJ's husband passes away, and she's got 3 other kids. Like the oldest kid's like 12, and the youngest kid's like maybe like 6 months old. So like they come to raise him. So what I'm thinking to myself is like,
how much bad luck can one family have?
Right. Like the Tanners are cursed, obviously. But more importantly, like, the other kid's like 6 months old. And like, by the end of the first season, like the old boyfriend Steve and like this boy like that she works with, Matt, are fighting basically for her attention or for her to date them. And it's like she's not even concerned that she's like, you know, her husband died like not even a year ago.
Yeah.
Is like, so it's like, and by this season, like the husband's not even like, you know, mentioned. He's not even a fucking thought, you know. So like the kids don't seem to care.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah, the kids don't even care about the husband. Like she's like got the boyfriend now. She's obviously dating Matt. If you didn't see the second season, she picks Matt and they're dating. And of course, yes, Matt is a bona fide hottie. Like he's a gorgeous man. But your husband been dead for like what, less than a year.
She's
and
like,
you
oh, my husband died. Fuck
What
that
husband?
guy.
Yeah.
Let me go get some dick.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I don't know. It's just like at least mourn for a few years. It's like this is ridiculous. This show that's been bothering me for like the past 3 seasons.
I mean, even on the original Full House, Danny, there was like episodes where Danny was like conflicted, where he like started dating a woman and he's like, I don't know, my wife died so soon, this feels so weird.
Yeah.
Like they at least addressed it.
Yeah.
And that was a show that solved eating disorders in 30 minutes.
Thank you.
This is less than that.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly my fucking problem. And all right, let's get to the friend Kimmy now. Her friend Kimmy, that she's even shittier than DJ on this show. She's divorced now. She divorced her
Because who the fuck would stay with Kimmy?
Well, ironically, the guy wants to stay with her. Her husband was this Latino guy named Fernando, and she basically divorced him. But now they're kind of working things out. So he moves into the house now. So now, you know, Kimmy lives there, and he lives there with the daughter and stuff like that.
This is absurd.
And in the first episode, which was called Best Summer Ever, Fernando surprises Kimmy with like a gift that would hardly inconvenience her whatsoever. And she turns it down and says, oh, I'm upset with you that you did this without asking, which probably cost like him thousands of dollars to do. And I literally,
What was the gift?
I can't spoil it for you guys, but
Spoil it.
I'm not. I stood up.
Tell me off
I'll
air.
tell you
Cover
off
your
air.
mic.
I definitely
cover
will
your
tell
mic
you.
and tell me.
Remind me to tell you off air. I literally stood up and said, you fucking selfish bitch. Like, worst of all, nobody in the fucking cast is addressing this. They don't even say like, well, wait a minute, Kimmy. Like, you know, this thing that he bought you is not gonna really affect your life whatsoever. You could still do that, but no one's saying anything. I'm like, the fuck is this shit about? And then they keep hinting at it in other episodes. Like they might say something like, wait a minute, Kimmy, you're being ridiculous. Nothing. Pissed. I'm pissed. Let's talk about now the middle child, whose name is Max. He's about 9 years old, and even though he's got like a girlfriend on the show, that chick is obviously a fucking beard.
9 years old and he has a girlfriend.
Yeah, the chick's a beard. I mean, the chick's a beard. The kid who plays Max is due to come out of the closet in less than like 10 years. Aside from this flamboyant gay mannerisms, he like
because he's the new Danny Tanner, right? Because Danny Tanner was like the clean one, and they need to have
so gay. But it's like not like Danny wasn't gay, but this kid is so queer. He pouts like a girl when his 4th of July vest gets stained, and then his girlfriend asks him like after they make up like if he wants to hold hands and like skip. And I was expecting him to say, "You had me at skip, girl," you know, but he says something else ridiculous, and the audience laughs.
You think it's a relationship of convenience, son?
Yeah, they're trying to force this, like, you know, he's not gay.
He's like, I already know I'm gonna have a tough time in high school. Like his sister came to him or his mother came to him and was like, listen, you need to get in that closet, dude. You can come out once you get to college. Nobody will give a shit at that time. If you want to get beaten up every day for 4 years, you need to start dating right now.
Yeah.
I love you and I understand what you're going through, but this is for the best.
But Mom, they have cooties and stuff. No, you don't have to sashay when you say that. So the kid who plays the oldest son, Jack, whose name is Jackson, not only has he gotten like taller and his voice has gotten deeper, but his acting has gotten worse. When he's not shouting his lines, he's just comes off so scripted when he like says anything. And on the plus side, his friends are actually funny. Like he's got this one friend and this.
I don't believe it.
He's got one friend that's got autism that only quotes movie lines, and he's kind of funny.
People with autism are funny,
Yeah.
apparently.
And then
that's what sitcoms are all about. It's just the autistic character.
Yeah, he's got another friend that's like blatantly hitting on his mother, DJ, in like in the episode, like he's saying like things like, hey, I'll be 18 in a couple years. Would you wait for me? Like right in front of like Jackson, and he's just like, whatever, it's cool. Bang my mom, I don't care. By the way, in that episode, DJ is walking around the house in heels and a skirt with like no place to go that day. So it's like, who does that? Who dresses up just to hang around the house? Like, so she obviously was asking for it.
I don't even want like pants on right now. The second I'm getting home, I just tear all of my clothes off in one swoop.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some positivities beside the one-off characters that were funny in a second, but I gotta have my complaints out the way first. The episode called "Say Yes to the Dress," DJ and like her ex-boyfriend Steve like do this rendition of like the Grease song "Summer Nights" during karaoke, which starts to reignite some old sparks.
Why is that something that keeps happening? Where every time there's like sexual tension, they have to do a karaoke, and it's usually a Grease song, and then it's just like, oh, I just realized that I love you.
Right.
Like, get the fuck out of here.
That's what they do in that one, and they've been doing that for this whole season. Like in previous episodes in the last season, DJ confessed that she would have actually chosen Steve, even though Matt's like a fucking dreamboat. She's like, I would have picked Steve, but unfortunately now Steve's engaged to this girl named CJ, and it's like,
so many fucking initials in this show.
Yeah, so it's like, well, I guess I'm gonna stay with Matt, and then so in this season we get some like episodes where they have some like romantic stares and sweet compliments, which like culminates into like this like season finale, which I will not spoil for you guys who've never seen a sitcom in your life. So I don't know why the first lines in the theme song is like whatever happened to predictability, because this show is full of it.
Well and alive.
Yeah, full of it. Even though even down to like the studio audience, they are like fucking trained to laugh at any joke, even if it wasn't that funny or if it wasn't even a joke at all. Like,
well, I mean, in the day of Big Bang Theory,
this is worse than that, because like
they're trained. I mean, if they can laugh at that, they can laugh at anything.
Yeah, this is worse because they're laughing when it's not even a joke. Like she'll be like, "Hey, Jackson, did you pack your socks?" It's like, where's the fucking joke? There wasn't a joke there. Why are you laughing? Then the next line of the joke, it's like everyone's preparing to laugh at the next line. It's like, they gasp and they say "ooh" at anything remotely scandalous, even if they already addressed it earlier in the episode. And they say "oh," like "oh," even at the sight of a baby doing nothing.
Fucking babies.
Also, why does everyone say like it's always open when someone rings the doorbell? Like someone ring the doorbell, they'll say it's always open, and the person will come in. Just say it's open. Like if you say it's always open, that will attract burglars.
Or say it's always open with a fucking attitude. Like, dude, it's fucking always open. Yeah. Like, stop knocking. I'm not getting up and answering the door.
No, but just say, because burglars are going to start coming to your house. If they'll be like, wait a minute, the door's always open. Let's just come to the house. And they might be saying to themselves like, hey, listen, this neighborhood's safe, so we know it's going to be okay. But dude, me and my wife went to visit that house in San Francisco a couple years back. And that neighborhood that the house is in is not a safe place to leave your doors unlocked. Also, a little side note: the person that actually bought the house ended up painting the house purple for some reason. Fucking asshole, but whatever. The best episodes in this season are the ones that have the grown-ups from the Full House show when they make cameos. Like Bob Saget's episode was like weak, but the one with like Uncle Joey and his like obnoxious kids was actually quite mediocre.
Who the fuck fucked Uncle Joey?
He has 4 kids. And
goddamn, who fucked Uncle Joey 4 times?
I don't know. It's just and the kids, like, you know, you understand that they're his kids.
And like, wasn't he a perpetual loser on the first show? Like he got a girlfriend like one time, and then Uncle Jesse stole him away, and he was just like, oh
yeah, oh well, I guess I got jerk off now.
I'll just talk to this raccoon instead of dealing with my emotions,
right, Mr. Woodchuck? Do you have some wood? Like, you have a Woody? So yeah, but his episode was okay. But Uncle Jesse's episode where he had to babysit the kids, that was the best one of the 3 because John Stamos actually gets to sing at the end, and it's like, oh, we get to hear his sweet voice.
Cover a Beach Boys song, I'm assuming.
No, he wrote some Betty Bye song because they adopted the kid because for some reason after their twins got older and they moved out, like him and Aunt Becky were like, we need to have another kid, so they adopted a black kid.
That's like one of my main problems with sitcoms.
Yeah, too many children,
black kids.
No.
No, like when you get into your 40s, you have another kid. Nobody does that.
They're in their 60s now, probably those two. Yeah,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
When you get in your 60s, you have another kid. Fuck that. Yeah. Nobody does that.
Exactly. So, but I could forgive every complaint I was making if the show was actually funny. I did not laugh at one joke in any episode. So the nostalgia for this whole thing is gone for me. Like when it first came out, I'm like, yay! Like I remember that show. Now I just don't give a fuck now. And the worst part is the small amounts of adult humor that was in the previous episodes is completely gone now. Like this show now is so watered down and vanilla as like a Disney Channel sitcom. That's right, you guys. I'm saying this show is as bad as Girl Meets World. It's
harsh criticism.
Yeah. Also, when they try to like address some serious topics like Stephanie being infertile or like Danny Tanner, like, you know, his wife.
Why does it matter that Stephanie's infertile? Does she have? She didn't have a boyfriend in the
She does in the show, yeah.
She does?
Yeah, she's dating Kimmy's brother.
And she's trying to have a kid with the guy she's dating?
Well, I won't.
What world does this show happen in?
San Francisco, of course.
This is what they do in San Francisco.
So yeah, so like they're dealing with that, and Danny like just comes out the blue saying, "Oh, my wife are divorced now." It's like, oh, we forgot you even were married.
We forgot you were even part of the show.
Yeah, so they throw that into a middle of like, you know, a quote unquote comedy induced episode, and it's like this is dragging the show down from a show that's already unfunny in the first place. The writers think like having like a random food fight break out in like episodes qualifies.
Classic food fight.
Yeah, they think that qualifies as comedy, and I'm like, yeah, I see like the cast is having fun, but what about the rest of us? God damn it, I hate this show, and I'm not looking forward to the second half of the season, but I unfortunately have to watch it anyway. So I'm gonna say this show is definitely a show you guys should cringe. That's my rating for that.
I watched the first season while I was cleaning the house. So I might have only half watched a couple of episodes. It was a fucking terrible show.
Okay.
The first one, it kind of takes place in a vacuum almost because of its time. It was family sitcom, blah, blah, blah. It's acceptable. Yeah. There's no reason for the show to exist other than fucking people our age going, oh, I want a sequel to this fucking shit I remember from 30 years ago. No, you do not want it.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. And TV executives, stop listening to this nostalgia bullshit. It's the exact same show, just less funny.
Yeah.
It's fucking unconscionable that it's not only got made in the first place, but got a second season.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. And the thing I'm scared about is I want them to cancel this show because I don't want them to look for other TGIF shows we watch to like bring back, because I do not want them to take Family Matters and make like extended Family Matters.
Oh god. Could you imagine Urkel with a kid? Actually.
Yeah,
I would watch it if it was just Urkel's kid.
Yeah, it'd be Urkel and Laura married, and then their kids doing the exact same thing that they did in the other show. And
I might be okay with that.
You would? Fuck that,
I do like Urkel hijinks. just not even like because they're funny, just because it's so ludicrous and pointless.
Yeah.
Where it's just he shows up and breaks a bunch of shit and then like makes a time machine or whatever the fuck, and it's just like, all right, see ya. Like that. It's just like such a non sequitur and an otherwise like all right show.
You know what's funny is we think it's a good idea, but they're gonna like the same thing with this Fuller House show. It'll be cool when it first comes out. And then like they'll keep going with it, and it won't be funny anymore. Because this show, the problem is like they're trying to capture the whole ridiculousness and corniness of the '80s like sitcom. But since they're doing it now, there's no earnesty in it. It's like they're blatantly trying to be this asinine.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just don't watch this fucking show, you guys. But I will let you know if they pick things up after the second half of season 3, because they were nice enough to like split the season up in 2 parts, because fucking 18 episodes of this shit, I fucking would blow my head off, and we won't be hearing my voice right now.
And with that being said, if there are any TV executives listening, please bring back Night Court. I would watch the shit out of that. Night Court.
Night Court.
Night Quarter. Nighter Court.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what do they call it? Day Court.
I'll watch Day Court.
Just
I'm okay with that.
Court. That's all.
But yeah,
it is.
no Fuller House, no Girl Meets World, none of this shit. Just stop it.
More Steps by Steps.
Oh, God.
I don't know. What is the other show like? Even Not So Perfect Strangers again. I don't know. It's just like full. I think they're gonna do Extended Family Matters or Gray Family.
They better hurry up because Reginald Val Johnson only got a few years left.
Family Gray Matters or something like that. I don't know. So yeah, let us know what you think if you actually watched the Fuller House season in the comments. What you think, if you liked it or hate it, and if you think it's worth watching the whole thing as well. I'm actually noticing, Drew, that you have a little sniffle. Because at my job, everybody's when I'm ringing up people, everybody this week's been buying like NyQuil and Dayquil and like cough drops. Did you catch a cold too, like me?
No, I didn't catch a cold. I just do a lot of cocaine.
Okay, this is my second thought. So I was worried that this whole week when I started getting a cold like around Monday last week, and I was like, oh shit, like. I hope Drew doesn't get sick too because we haven't done a show in a while. But ironically, I've been worrying about you so much, and you're all right. So I'm glad.
No, if I get sick, I'll just call out of work for a few days, and then I'll actually so I can make it to the podcast.
Oh, you're so kind. Okay. All right. So the reason I was worried, I was worried about you getting sick because I got sick too. And what's funny is I told my wife, I'm like, Mrs. S, I'm like, hey, the reason I haven't been like hopping on you in the middle of the night and trying to molest you is because I've had a cold and how it makes me miserable. And she looks at me, she's like, oh, I thought it was because you were worried about getting like sexual misconduct charges and stuff like that.
No, that's what you're worried about, not hopping on me.
Yeah,
workplace harassment.
Yeah. So it's like kind of funny, like what's going on in the world right now is affecting our home life. I'm like, that made me crack. I'm like, you really think I'm worried? I actually should. He's like, yeah, you should worry about that now. And I want to ask you like this, Drew. Like, we're going to talk about in a second. Like, it's been affecting like all different kinds of celebrities. Politicians. I heard Al Franken has just gotten into some troubles now, and also musicians that we're going to talk about from the Warped Tour, and as well as bands like Brand New. They're getting sexual misconduct, things like that. Louis C.K.'s show is canceled now because he likes to masturbate in front of women, which I find kind of weird because I like to masturbate by myself, because hence the term. But maybe he's
masturbating in front of women is fine. Don't just be like, oh, I'm gonna masturbate now and then do it. That's
yeah.
Kind of creepy.
Which is weird because apparently he asked first, but they say yes because of his power. They just felt like they had to.
Or some of the women said that he asked, and then they're like, "Oh, you're funny," and then he just whipped it out. And they're like,
you think that's funny?
That wasn't a joke.
How funny do you think this is?
Probably pretty funny because he's got that red hair. It's probably all looks like a clown wig in his pants.
His penis probably looks exactly like his face, or his head anyway. So I want to ask you, Drew, before we get into our news thing, with this whole thing going on, do you think this whole molestation epidemic, or do you think this trend, quote unquote, of all these women coming out is real, or do you think this is kind of people are doing it because it's the in thing to do?
I think that it seems pretty real to me. The stories are frequently corroborated, and I think it's just a matter of women seeing, and even sometimes men seeing other people coming out and then going, well, if they could do it, I can do it. There's no reason to stay quiet now.
Yeah.
Especially when they don't name names. I find that very compelling.
Okay, so when they you mean the victims?
No, when the victims don't say who did it.
Oh.
And also, there's really no incentive for a lot of them. I mean, most of them aren't suing anybody or anything like that. There's really no reason for them to drag people's names through the mud. And then there's, for instance, with Louis C.K., while that shit came out, not only has he been denying it for at least 10 years, Laura Silverman came out and was like, oh yeah, he masturbates in front of people all the time. We used to date. That's kind of his thing.
Okay. She's very liberal girl for this relationship.
Yeah.
You don't mind if I masturbate in front of other girls, but I still love you, right?
No, he used to masturbate in front of her after they broke up. So they were dating, and then they took a cross-country road trip.
And he masturbated the whole way?
Yeah. You didn't hear about this?
No.
Yeah, they were staying in hotel rooms, and he told her up front. He's like, "Yeah, this is gonna happen. You can leave if you want, but I'm gonna masturbate."
Yeah, I know it's on a 300-mile drive back, but hey, I'm gonna masturbate.
And the amount of people that
Denver.
the amount of people that are masturbating in front of other
Laura
people,
Silverman.
it seems, yeah, it's just a magnet for it.
Yeah.
No, it seems like it seems like a thing to do. Like it's like a power thing. Like, I mean, because Harvey Weinstein did the same thing.
Oh, I thought he was just basically raping, but he was.
Oh, he did that too. He ran the gamut.
I don't know, man. It's just it seems like this is like a floodgates are open. I'm just kind of like, and then when my wife said that whole thing, and then she told me later, like, there's another story that happened, and she was just wondering if this is like, you know, like a trend. And since she's a woman, you know, last I checked, it's kind of like, okay, it's cool.
Check
to hear,
again.
It's cool to hear a different. Yeah, she might be a chauvinist, like asshole man, like the whole time.
You're gonna be like, hey, let me check again. Oh my god!
Oh my God.
I didn't know it. Oh,
That's
you
why
got me.
She's like, that's why I hated cooking so much. I don't know. It's just. I don't know. It's just like that's the thing kind of worries me. But my last question to you, Drew, before we get to our story is, are you like nervous with flirting with girls nowadays, like because of that, or
no, because I'm
you're married? Yeah, you're gonna
yeah.
pull that shit. Okay, like I'm just so
no,
afraid to even
I've
talk to
never
girls now.
really. Well, here's the thing. I never talk to girls very often. And then online dating came along right at the time where
saved your life.
oh yeah, online dating is so good because there's no pretense. Like there is a pretense, I should say, because you're both there for the same thing. You both want to, get your dick wet. Or your I don't know what's the
you're offending me already.
What's the other
your vagina moist? Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
Or
it already is because I'm in the room.
If you're transgender, both. It's just I don't know. It's just like kind of like for me, like I like just.
Also, why are you talking to girls?
All right, so this is why I do it. I'm gonna say like when I was in Drew's situation, single,
because you're a creep.
I feel I was a creep. Yes. No, I felt really uncomfortable talking to a girl, but once you're in a relationship, you don't have. There's nothing you're trying to gain, so you're just being flirty. You're just being like
throwing
friendly.
It out there.
Yeah, it's like hey, like
you're just pulling your dick out in front of girls and masturbating.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get with you or anything like that. I'm just jerking off. If you don't want it, let's whatever.
You can leave. It's gonna happen though.
Yeah. No, it's just like I think now, like when you're just being like playful flirting with girls, it's just like they're not as like they don't have the walls up like they used to when I was a single, like desperate man. Like when I was a desperate man, like 3 years of no girlfriend, they could smell like desperateness a mile away.
Yeah.
No matter how like
everybody
much,
can.
No matter how much.
I hate to break it to you.
No matter how much I said, let's just go to the movies as friends. They're like, no, that's okay. But now that they know I'm married, I can talk to girls. But with this whole thing happening, I've been choosing my words like so wisely now because they're cracking down on like Hollywood celebrities, politicians, and then musicians. When are they gonna start coming for podcasters next? We're next in line, dude. So
I don't think they will because they just expect it from podcasters. They're like a shifty bunch of people.
Yeah. So all you guys want to promote some things on our show, we're gonna jerk off the whole time. Sorry.
I got my dick in my hand right now.
Yeah, Drew's literally masturbating right in my eye. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Have you ever been accused of anything like that?
Rape or just
sexual
something?
misconduct, anything?
I think once in high school, but it was just like the gym teacher was like, just be cool with that, and I was like, okay.
But no girl has like come out and like
no, she just like
then you got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Like you're probably not as creepy as you think you are, and I feel like if you
or everyone else,
you're seeing all this shit going on, and then you're probably doing the same thing I'm doing, where you're examining everything you said, interaction you've had with every girl for the last 30 years, and you're like, well, I did do this one thing, and it was meant as a joke, but I don't think it came off that way, and maybe she thinks that like I did some shit, but you didn't. Like it's
the chloroform was a joke. Chloroform's a joke, man.
Like you would know if you were crossing a line, I feel like.
Yeah, but the question is, it seems like all these people that are like putting out these apology statements, are they really sorry, or is it just I'm sorry I got caught?
Of course they're not.
I'm sorry I got caught. Is that what they're saying?
There's very few that I think are actually sorry.
Yeah.
The only one that I think sounded legit was Al Franken, and I think that's because he legitimately didn't mean it to come off that way.
Yeah. Who took that photo though? That's what I want to know too. That was
Why?
a jerk, too.
You're a politician. It wasn't like he was like still on SNL at that point. He was like in the Senate.
Oh, he looks young in that picture. I didn't read about it because at this
like,
point I'm so like sick. I'm so oversaturated with it. So that's
like,
why
how would you not think that would come back to bite you?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, I get like your SNL career coming back to bite you, and there's nothing you can do about it, or like improv that you've done or whatever before that.
Yeah,
but like, you're a functioning politician. Like, you are making laws, and you're gonna take oh hey, I'm being creepy to the sleeping woman. Like, okay, you do that before you're in politics, sure, I get it. No, don't do that after. You should know better.
Yeah, learn from like Mary Berry, like doing cocaine, like in DC. That mayor, like once you're a politician, you can't fuck around anymore.
All the fun's over
unless it's with dudes.
It's like parent. Yeah. Unless you want to fuck dudes, you can do that, but you have to be super.
You gotta make sure you're married too.
You have to be married, and you have to be vehemently homophobic as well.
Yeah, it's just funny. It's just sad that at the same like. All you guys out there right now, that if they haven't like caught you yet, like confess now, and then like,
get it out of the way.
Yeah, that way they won't be like, oh, he's only confessed because he got caught. If you say something now, maybe that would be better. You think?
Yeah,
yeah,
I definitely think so.
Okay, but then at the same time, what if no one would ever found out? Then you just put yourself under the guillotine on your own. It's kind of weird. It's like if you say something,
it's gonna come out.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's gonna come out. So
it's like when you're self-conscious about something and then you make fun of it first.
It's like the telltale heart, kind of. They're gonna find out anyway. Even though every time I watch that Edgar Allan Poe movie, I'm like, dude, just shut the fuck up and let those cops leave.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
it's self-incrimination.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's what I was just wanting to ask you about that, Drew. So that's just leads to our whole story tonight for our news portion. And you guys have been mad quiet. Are you guys okay out there? Thank you. Because I think what it is because we haven't done a show in a while. The audience doesn't know how to react to us just talking and they're just sitting there listening. So now we're going to get to some news topics tonight. It's a very sad day for you punk rockers out there that has gotten to punk rocking a couple years ago. Apparently the Warped Tour is going to finally end I don't want to say finally like I'm a dick or anything like that.
Finally!
Yeah. The Warped Tour is going to end in 2018. That was founded by Kevin Lyman. So here's a statement that he said. The music industry's last... I got the story from Billboard. And he said the music industry's last remaining major traveling festival is saying goodbye. Next year, the band's Warped Tour will ride into the sunsets for the final summer's worth of North American tours. According to producer Kevin Lyman, who founded the tour in 1995, numerous factors, including an evolving summer festival industry, a shrinking pool of bands, a decline in ticket sales amongst its teenage demographic, led to his declaring the tour's 24th year to be its last. And Drew actually was saying when we were talking about this earlier that he thinks also the sexual misconduct that was happening on the tour was another leading factor, but
I don't know if that was a factor. I think that it probably is just people
he's not saying it happened though. It's the reason.
There's been some talk that some of the bands were involved in some things they shouldn't have been involved with.
Yeah, it's true, but I mean,
I guess that's what happens when your fan base is 14 years old and you are on the road.
Yeah. So he says, before Warped, I was on 3 years of Lollapalooza, so it's been 26 straight summers out on the road. And not that I'm completely going anywhere, but traveling around the country with a tour this size in this landscape that we're in is, to be honest, I'm just tired.
I'm too old for this shit.
But Warped still has one final summer worth of tours dates. No artists have been confirmed, and in fact, Lyman is still filling the bill, hoping for Warped icons that will hop on the tour to make their last hurrah. You're gonna see some big mix of bands. I feel really embrace the Warped Tour lifestyle, is what he said. I don't want to say a mature lineup, but bands that I think could use one more big push of Warped Tour to help further their careers?
So Bad Religion, The Descendants. Who else do you think?
Rancid.
Rancid.
Yes. Now, for you guys out there, you don't know anything about the Warped Tour. It's crazy. So the Warped Tour, yeah, like he said, NoFX, Bad Religion, numerous bands have been on that tour, and it had other bands like Blink-182, No Doubt, and Paramore that started out on that tour. And outside of the punk and scene entirely, Warped's past lineups are riddled with some pre-superstardom misfit acts. Like Katy Perry was on that tour, Eminem, Kid Rock, the Black Eyed Peas, G-Eazy, among others. So they're going to actually have a 2018 tour and then something 2019. Now, I want to talk to you guys because everyone is on online like erupting, like, oh my God, the Warped Tour's ending. I'm so sad. And they're like saying, like, I remember going to the Warped Tour. My first Warped Tour was like
20 years ago.
Like my first Warped Tour was like 2011. My first Warped Tour was like 2005. My first Warped Tour was like 2 years ago. Where? And I'm going to tell you guys right now, my first Warped Tour was 1997. And
is that the year Deftones played?
They played in 1998. I went to 1997, 1998. I skipped 1999 because I wasn't into the bands that were playing. Went back 2000, 2001,
Jesus
2002, 2003, 2004. Then I stopped, and I didn't go back until 2016 because I took my daughter there, and I'll tell you why in a second. So I've been to like 8 Warped Tours, and I'm gonna be honest to say, you guys, I have not found a single person that has been to the Warped Tour before 1999, and I'm gonna only assume because everyone that went to Warped Tour before them is dead. They must have passed away. It's only me and the bands that are alive now. So I'm a fucking veteran. And
or they all have children and they don't go out and get drunk in Brooklyn and stay out all night.
But at least tell me you've been to the Warped Tour. No one has. I have not met a single person that went to the Warped Tour before the turn of the century.
I've never been to the Warped Tour.
That's what I was going to ask you. Never, really,
never.
So
the lineup never interests me.
Okay.
I almost considered it this year because there was a bunch of bands that I wanted to see. I wanted to see Guar and Candiria, Municipal Waste. There's like a few others. Sick of It All played. But then I looked at how they were staged, and basically every band I wanted to see was on a different stage. So, yeah. I mean, I could have gone and seen like 2 of the 8 or 9 bands that I wanted to see. Basically.
So Drew's basically saying you didn't want to walk. That's the problem you're saying.
That too.
Okay. So what for me, like, I was going like back to back every year, and I'm not gonna be this like this like higher than thou person. It's like, oh, like the Warped Tour is not catering to me. That's why it's not as good anymore. It's not that. I'm gonna say like the reason I stopped going is because it wasn't catering to me. But I'm not saying that was what they shouldn't do anymore. Yeah, I was seeing bands I liked, punk bands, like ska bands. Like they started adding some like post-hardcore emo bands like Finch in like the 2002 era, and I was enjoying it. But then after a while, when I see the set list and I'm the band list, I'm like, I don't like any of these bands, or I'm not gonna pay $50 to see 2 bands I like. I stopped going, and then every year after that, I was like, I don't like any bands playing, so I don't know the bands playing. I'm not going to go.
Yeah, that's how I was.
And the reason I went 2016 is because they have this reverse parenting thing where like parents can bring their can go for free if they bring their kids. So basically, my kid.
So you scammed Warped Tour, is what you're saying?
My kid does not like this kind of music, but I was like, hey, I'll buy your ticket.
Do one for your good old dad.
Yeah, and I'll go for free. I go to the parent tent. It's cool, and at the same time, the 2016 Warped Tour brought back some of the earlier bands like Less Than Jake and Real Big Fish and Sum 41, as well as new bands. And I'm not gonna sit here and say like they should just cater to me and that Warped Tour should be all about what it was when I started going in the 90s. Kevin Lyman is a businessman, and to be honest, what Drew said is true. The people my age, as we get older. Because when I went to Warped Tour in 1997, everybody was my age. But as the years went on, I kept going. Like, I started getting older, and unlike the movie... and
they stayed the same age.
No, they did not. They got younger. So it was like...
That's not a good scene.
Yeah, it's different from the movie Dazed and Confused. Like, instead of them saying the same age, they got younger. So now Kevin Lyman is saying, like, oh, these 14-year-olds and stuff like that aren't coming as much as they used to. There were no fucking 14-year-olds when I was going. It's just like all high school, high school, like, you know, late teen people were going, and then it started just going. They would get younger. I get older. I get older. My back was getting hurt in the pit, so I was like, all right, I can stop going to this show. I can't really crowd surf as much as I used to, so I stopped going to the shows. I don't like the bands playing anyway, so it's not for me. But this guy's doing stuff for the scene, and what I was doing, not going anymore. The same thing as the people my age. They're having kids. They're not going as much to shows, so he can't just keep having a Bad Religion play every year, because then
Bad Religion can't play every year. They're like 80.
Yeah, they're not going to show up as much as if they play.
They got to have another, like their children sign them out of the nursing home.
So they can't have the same bands play every year. So I totally agree with what Kevin Lyman was doing. That being said, it's just like it wasn't for me. So I'm not going anymore. So that. On the other hand, he was saying these.
I think it's more than that, though. I think that there's something going on, and I don't know what it is. There's like live music is trending away from big lineups.
That's what he's saying. Yeah.
Warped Tour is really the last touring festival that is standing, because there's no more Ozfest. There's no more Sounds of the Underground. Lollapalooza isn't touring anymore. It's like a terrestrial thing.
Right.
And I think you see that a lot more, where people don't want to spend, $50 for this day where they're like, oh, I got to run to this stage, I got to run to that stage. They want to come and get a hotel room and hang out and have an experience over the course of a weekend, not on like a Tuesday night or something like that. You got to take off work. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
So I think that, me personally, the only festivals I've ever gone to are This Is Hardcore, because it's in my backyard and it's on a weekend.
Literally in your backyard, because it's hardcore music.
It's like an hour away, and I can drive to it. I don't need to get a hotel room. And if one day or 2 days is like stacked, and I want to see like almost every band there, then I'll drive down there and I'll post up, and I'll get dinner in the merch area, and like it'll be an experience. I don't want to take off work on a Tuesday and like go out in the hot sun, and like I want to be in a venue. I'll watch 12 bands.
Wow. So
I want to be in air conditioning.
You're actually the same way as what he's saying. The people that aren't going anymore, he's saying like the kids nowadays are so used to like, not going to shows. They like, play their Xbox or on their phones, and then when they get old enough to like go to shows, they never grew up doing that, so they're not going as much. So he's saying that the attendance has been down for like a couple years. Yeah.
And Jamie Justice says something interesting on his podcast recently, because Hatebreed is going on tour, which we're going to in a couple of weeks, and he had to fight the promoters to get 4 bands on the bill. He was saying that most promoters only want 3 bands, because any more than that, people don't want to show up early to see all 4 bands.
Yeah, it's true. Because when they have these like longer, like like shows on a Sunday afternoon from like 3 to like the evening, people are on Facebook like, what time does this band start?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Just fucking go to the show.
Yeah.
Like, why are you asking when this band? Like, that's just my whole thing.
Back when I was younger, there was back in my day, you'd go to a show, you'd pay $15 or whatever, or sometimes as little as 10. You'd see like 8 bands, and you'd be there the whole day. And you'd leave with like 5 CDs and like have new music to listen to.
Yeah,
I guess maybe the internet fucking killed it, because now you can just sample everything. You could go on Bandcamp or wherever and sample the bands that you want to hear and be suggested other bands and whatnot. And going to a show is less relevant, I guess, in this climate.
So that's what he's saying. Like he's saying totally what Drew's saying, and that's what Kevin Lyman's saying. He signs all the popular new punk rock bands of the pop punk bands from now, like Neck Deep and Knocked Loose and I Prevail and Bear.
I wouldn't call Knocked Loose a pop punk band.
I'm just throwing them in there. Sleeping with Sirens. He signs all those bands to play on a tour. He books them anyway, and they don't draw the same crowds. And they're like, where are the 14 to 17-year-olds? They're not showing up. So not making as much money as he used to is one of the issues that they're saying. And people are saying, is this the end of like rock tours, the end of rock things? And it might be true, but I think what Kevin Lyman's doing to stop this now is it's been going as long. It's been going for far too long. Not in a. I don't know how to say it without being like a dick, but I'm just saying it's run its course. I remember when going to the Warped Tour, they would not only just have bands and like fucking tents playing. They had like BMX bikers like doing things. They had like people getting shot out of cannons and stuff like that. It was like mad shit to see. Now it's just like bands playing. This is the causes we have the tent. That's it. And at least that would be other things would compensate the fact that the water was like $4 and shit like that, and you're like baking in the sun and everything's overpriced. That was fine at the time, but now it's just like you don't have much to do here. So for all you guys out there saying like, oh my god, I'm so sad to Warped Tour is again, dude, this guy's a fucking genius because right now, next year's Warped Tour, he's gonna have all these like bands from the old and new, and you guys are gonna be saying to yourself, I gotta go to this Warped Tour now because it's the last one. She's gonna be selling out every fucking venue. He's gonna make mad loot, and then
and you know what's gonna happen? I can almost guarantee you.
I know what you're gonna think. I know what
where's Kevin Lyman from? California, I'm assuming.
I think so. Yeah.
Can almost guarantee you, 2019 or maybe 2020, Warped Festival.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
he's gonna have like a 3-day fest.
I was gonna fucking say that. Yeah.
Wherever he lives, that he can just like plan and just do. In his house and like drive to and like stay on the fairgrounds or whatever, and like it's not a big deal.
Yeah, to be less cynical than what Drew was saying, like for the 2019 tour, which is going to be like the quote unquote 25th anniversary and final one, he's going to have like a 3-day event and have every band that does not make the 2018 tour will be at that one.
And he's going to make hand over fist. He's going to have a bunch of bands that you wouldn't think. I'm sure he's going to have bands getting back together because that's the big thing in the festival circus now.
It'll be like a 3-day event. People can sleep there, not there, but like tents, shit like that, and people will fly from all over the.
And he's going to make more money than he's made in 10 years.
And he's like, you know what? I'll keep this tour going. And then people like, oh, I thought you were going to stop it. No, I'm like fucking Black Sabbath. I'm going to keep this shit going. I changed my mind again.
And you look at all the touring festivals that have stopped.
It started again.
Yeah, Lollapalooza is a terrestrial festival. Same thing with Ozfest, just came back recently. Like they do Ozfest meets Knotfest, where Slipknot started a day-long festival, like just one day a year, and then Ozfest piggybacked onto that. So it's like a weekend now. So Saturday is Knotfest, Sunday is Ozfest, or some shit like that,
Okay.
And so I would be shocked if Warped Festival doesn't happen in the next couple of years.
Yeah. So, yeah, rest easy, you little punkers that just started going to the Warped Tour like 2 years ago. The Warped Tour will be back, and you can see all your, like, screamo bands and, like, whiny pop punk bands.
You're going to have to fly out there and get a hotel room, but it'll be
totally
fine.
Worth it,
It'll be fine.
So you can see a pop punk band you love, and you can, like, look at fucking the Descendants and say, who are these old fucks? So, all right. So, let us know what you think in the comments if you want to see the Warped Tour. Well, actually, I say if you are sad about the Warped Tour, if you have some opinion on that, let us know in the section right there. And Drew is going to leave me again to take another piss. So, I will actually entertain you guys because I'm feeling really good right now. I've had some couple drinks in me. And I can see from our time right now that the time has gone for about an hour and 12 minutes. So, we are doing a lengthy show, making up for lost time for everybody out there. So first of all, how are you guys doing out there? You doing good? I'll let you guys applaud while I get to my notes, because now it is going to be time for some reviews. And for that, I need to go to what we're going to start with first. And it's definitely not that one. Thank you. All right, so I found what I want to talk about. So, I want to say also, I'm going to try some of this other drink that he's got here. So we're drinking some Budweiser. We're drinking some, what is it called? Oh, here it is. It's got the Jaws beer. We're drinking Jaws beer. And I think he drank all of the other beer, so I'm not going to get to try that. But I always got the Admiral.
You can try it.
All right, I will try that. This is the ale, right?
Yeah.
I like the cozy. Life is trash. Just tastes like it doesn't taste bad. Actually, it just tastes like watered down beer to me.
It tastes delicious, is what it tastes like.
That's deliciousness I taste. So you guys ready for some reviews right now, right? Thank you. Okay, so
boy, do we got them.
Let's start off with the indie band Weezer and their album Pacific Daydream.
Oh boy.
They are a pop punk alternative rock band, which you probably already know this. So I don't know why I'm preaching this. And they just released their 11th album, and it's only been a year since they released a last album. And it was
always a sign of good work, rushing a new album to market.
It was yet another self-titled record, but it's known as the White Album. Apparently, it's not as good as the Beatles' White Album, but not as bad. We reviewed that album in a previous podcast. If you want to hear it, go back and check it out. And so original singer, guitarist River Cuomo wanted this album to be poppy, yet darker with the mature topics. Basically, he wanted to be opposite the White Album, and it was going to be called the Black Album. However, when they began writing music, the songs sounded more like Beach Boys and The Clash. So they pushed back the plans for the Black Album and started focusing on the new collection of songs they were doing, which is going to be one of my criticisms. I'm going to say, I'm going to spoil it for you guys right now. I'm going to say I have a problem with that.
What, that they didn't re-record Metallica's Black Album in its entirety?
Yeah. One thing you can count on from Weezer is producing some catchy pop tunes, I will say. The opening track, which is called Mexican Fender, has blaring upbeat power chords mixed with adorable vocal harmonies about meeting a female musician and other summer love elements in the song as well. While later in the album, the song Sweet Mary is an acoustic guitar-driven tune about a girl River is admiring from afar. Or it's
he's Harvey Weinsteining it.
He's currently involved with her. I don't know. The songs when Weezer writes about women are different, and it's not fitting, and him not fitting in is so often the message that he writes gets kind of lost on me, like because it's the same topics every time. But I must say I was very impressed with the diversity of some of the tracks in this album here. Did you notice that, Drew? Like this album was not so indie pop rock away. There was some like
I didn't get diversity at all on this album.
There's a song on here, I will tell you. There are a couple of diverse songs, he didn't notice it. The song called Feels Like Summer continues like the summer themes, of course. But it's a more electro pop song with like heavy bass beats, and it's got some guitars in the background. It's not like blaring in your ear. The song Happy Hour is like also a dance song with like a funky like R&B vibe, and River like uses several random references to like Ponce Leon and to like Stevie Ray Vaughan to like Monty Python. He's like just referencing all of them in the first
Fantastic.
verse. Yeah.
Just saying words that sound alike.
Yeah. And the song, it has like a more like layered production and a slower tempo than usual Weezer songs. But it does work for me musically. Now, lyrically, I think we're on the same page, Drew. Like, he's just saying random shit.
Yeah.
So, on that song anyway. So, I really don't like the lyrics in this album. Like, what do you have to say? I don't want to...
I didn't really understand the lyrics. I felt like the lyrics were inconsequential.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to find out the reason why. I actually wrote down why that is in a second.
I think I know the reason why.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Because I read the Wikipedia.
Oh, you cheater. Cheater. So though Weekend Woman goes back to their like a light power pop comfort zone with like his buzzy guitars and cliche romantic lyrics, I liked the 60s style like bass lines like on that song, because it kind of reminded me of like the bands that our parents listened to like back in the day, like I would say like the Zombies or the Turtles or like the Pacemakers. Like it sounded kind of like that older like like vibing like bass like lines. I was kind of like okay with that.
It's just like a slave to the bass.
I stopped with the bass.
You gave that shitty Marilyn Manson album a good review.
I like the bass
because of the bass. You're enamored with the bass on this album.
I'm like Megan Traeger, man. I'm all about the bass. And if you had no idea that Weezer was influenced by the Beach Boys, they have a song on here dedicated and named after the band. And it's like kind of a reggae-esque, like a surf pop rock ditty about surprise, the beach, the band, and their love for listening to that music during the summer. I was like, yawn. All right, the summer's great, dude. It's okay, man. But I don't know if it's 'cause the fact that the band's from California, but they are infatuated with that like season. You know.
I feel like that's a recent development in their discography, right?
Right. Yeah.
All of a sudden, they're just
summer
all about summer.
Yeah, and it's really good to release an album like that during the winter. You know. What do you got to say about this album? It's only 10 tracks, so there's not much to like really.
It was over
Take
quickly, and that was the best part of it, I think.
Are you like not into Weezer ever?
I like their earlier stuff. I honestly haven't really listened to anything they put out in the last 10 years. I thought they got kind of boring after a while.
Yeah, I did
stopped
too.
paying attention.
Yeah.
And then this album was, I want to say eye-opening, but that would give it too much credit. It was, I don't know. I guess the highest praise I can possibly give it is that it was inoffensive and forgettable.
All right. So, what was the thing you read about on Wikipedia? Why the lyrics are in?
Well, once I read the Wikipedia, the entire album made sense to me because apparently they had this idea for a concept, right? Mm-hmm. It was essentially going to be darker and going to be like the Beach Boys meet the Clash, and then they just kind of were like, well, maybe we should just whatever.
Do what's easier.
Exactly. So apparently he, the singer, had a bunch of lyric fragments
Right.
in a notebook, and he had a bunch of riffs that he wasn't using, and so he just picked, like, cut and pasted songs together.
Yeah.
That's not a way to write an album.
Right. That was gonna be my complaint, but yeah, that's exactly my problem with this record. It's obviously it fucking shows that these lyrics and these songs
Could not give a fuck less
Yeah.
about this album.
Yeah, it just sounds like, well, I don't want to take the hard road. I'll just do this thing, anything instead. This is so difficult. I have writer's block. Well,
And I don't understand the point of this album because they just put an album out earlier. If you're on an album cycle, which they clearly are, why would you be like, we got to do a new album? It's gonna be fantastic, and we got a concept for it, and it's gonna blow people away. And then like you start on it, and they're like, fucking, let's just put something out. Why don't you just quit?
Well,
Just
because
don't do an album.
they already
Take some time and put some effort into it.
Maybe they already made the commitments. Like, oh fuck, now the record company's gonna be up our ass. We might as well just. Oh wait, I got these fragments. I'll put something together in an hour. Because it shows like songs like QB Blitz. He says like, I can't get anyone to do algebra with me. Then he's like, I gotta call my QB Blitz. It's like I can't figure out the relation between the two. But okay, whatever. And to top it off, this album was like produced by like Tobias like Gad and Josh Alexander helped him write lyrics, and they've been known to work with people like Demi Lovato, Fergie, and Beyonce.
And it shows.
Yeah, unfortunately, they only made some of this. They made the Weezer way too poppy for them and me as well.
I feel like this album was cut from the same cloth as Fergie.
Wow. Okay.
It's really it's just an album to sell albums. Like it doesn't really. There's no feeling behind it. It's just like, here's a bunch of songs. Eat up, you fucking swine.
Yeah. And I recall a time when we were like excited for a new Weezer album because they would release albums like every like 3 to 4 years. Now they're like gonna drop albums like, you know, compilations, deluxe editions, solo projects. It's just an abundance of disposable tracks. And I really unfortunately can't say really much about this album. It's like but to say that you're not really missing out if you don't listen to this one. So my rating for this album, I'm going to get right to it, is you can fucking skip this. It's not worth your time. What do you think, Drew?
This isn't the alt-rock / emo Weezer of the 90s or even the boring pop rock Weezer of the early aughts. This Weezer is confused and scared. This music world is changing at an unprecedented rate, and they're just trying to keep up. They're grasping at straws, hoping that anyone will dig the music they're putting out. They desperately want to be relevant, and it shows. Unfortunately, they fail miserably and come off as a vulgar caricature of popular music and their former selves. A shambling, terrifying golem of wasted potential, confusion, and reheated Beach Boys hooks. If Imagine Dragons is too edgy for you, but Taylor Swift is too saccharine for you, this is the perfect album. I was really on the fence with this. I'm gonna give it a skip it.
Wow.
I almost gave it a fuck this.
Wow, you were that. What were you almost on that? Fuck this for? You were that offended?
It's a garbage album. And the only thing that I could say about it that pushed it over the edge from a fuck this to a skip this is that occasionally the songs were catchy. But then again, Gonorrhea is catchy too. And I wouldn't recommend that either. So skip this album. Even if it's on at a party, leave the fucking party. Like, that's how bad this fucking album is.
Yeah, the thing I have a problem with River is if I want to compare him to like Buddy Holly, obviously it's safe to say he's really infatuated with the guy, like obviously because he wrote a fucking song about him, but also because you know how Buddy Holly was like churning out music left and right because he's like, oh, I'm gonna, I don't know how much time I have, I gotta put out music. You put out enough music, Rivers. You're good. You can stop now. Like
he feels like less of an auteur, more of just a guy that is going through the motions.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments what you think of the new Weezer album, if you liked it or hated it, and also tell us what you would rate it as well. All right. So now we got the whole indie rock thing out the way. Let's get to some like hardcore gangster shit.
Oh shit!
Let's talk about that new Converge. No, I'm kidding.
Boston Mass.
Let's talk about that new Wu-Tang, son. Woo! The album's called The Saga Continues, and they're Staten Island or Shaolin, if you want to call them that. They're a hip hop group, and they have just released their 8th studio album. And do you know all their names of the members, Drew?
No, I don't.
What?
There's the RZA.
Yeah.
The Jizza. Inspector Deck. Ghostface Killer.
Yes.
Method Man.
Yeah.
Donner. Blitzen.
Okay.
Rudolph. Donna Dixon.
You gotta listen to the song, the Method Man song from the first album. The RZA, the Jizza, Old Dirty Bastard, R.I.P. Inspector Deck, You Got Ghostface Killer, Raekwon the Chef, and the Meth, M-A-T, and the song starts.
And You God.
Yeah, You God's on that song too. Yeah. So this album is different though. It consists of all the members with the exception of You God, who is currently in a legal battle with the group over royalties, and of course, Old Dirty Bastards on his album because he died in 2004. However, it does include previous guest artists like Killer Priest and Street Life, as well as Redman, Sean Price, and Big Pun's son, and Chris Rivers.
This was also the best I've ever heard Redman. Can't fucking stand Redman.
Really?
And he was actually kind of decent on this album.
I got to talk about that with you in a second. When did Redman let you down? But all right, so it's been 2 years since they released the Wu-Tang's last album, Once Upon a Time in Shaolin, and that album has only one copy and was produced. It was produced with only one copy, and it's considered to be the most expensive album ever sold. It sold for $2 million to a businessman named Martin Shkreli.
Businessman in quotations.
Yeah, who is now one of the most hated men in the U.S. next to Harvey Weinstein and Donald Trump.
And also in jail.
Yeah. Drew, have you heard that album?
Yeah, I'm actually good friends with Martin Shkreli.
Uh-huh. Well, to be honest, I have not heard that album. In fact, I felt Wu-Tang began losing their luster after the third album called The W. And after being disappointed with the follow-up album, Iron Flag, I gave up on them and haven't listened to their studio album since. I remember when they released the monumental 1993 debut album, Into the Wu-Tang, parentheses, 36 Chambers, and the 1997 double album, Wu-Tang Forever, and nobody could say a negative thing about that group at the time.
Those two albums are fucking monumental.
No one could say anything like, "Oh, Wu-Tang is not that good." You would fucking get slapped in the mouth.
So original and different and cool, and
yeah, you got 9 versatile MCs as well as sharp production from the RZA that made them the strong contenders during the golden age of hip hop of that time. So I was like, I don't want to listen to them anymore. But when I heard that single from this album called "People Say," I was like back on board and rejuvenated my enthusiasm in the group, which we'll discuss that song in a little bit. Now, similar to previous albums, this one has been produced by the RZA as well as the longtime Wu-Tang DJ producer Mathematics. As great of a rapper, I think that Redman is. I think Redman is great. I think his hook on the song "Lesson Learned" is pretty fucking weak. So is that what you're talking about?
My problem with Redman is mainly his collaboration with Method Man. I fucking hate everything they did together. I'm not that familiar with his solo stuff.
Oh, okay.
When he showed up on a track, I was like, all right, this is pretty decent.
Yeah.
I was really surprised.
Well, I didn't like his hook on Lesson Learned, but I did think his verse was okay.
And I think the hooks were pretty weak on this album overall.
Okay, really? Like all of them?
Yeah, they weren't very catchy. And especially with Wu-Tang, they don't need hooks.
Yeah.
Or if they do have hooks, the best hooks are samples, I feel like.
Yeah, they can just have like them all rhyme and the song ends like the song The Triumph from the second album. No hook on that song. It's always good to hear a verse from Inspector Deck because that guy fucking spits. And I think honestly in this whole album, Method Man really like shines in this record. Like
he was on rare form.
He was rapping like he needed.
He hasn't rapped in 20 years.
Yeah. He's like, I need to make make an impression on these listeners. Like example, the track "If Time Is Money" it's got like a smooth R&B 70s like sample, which kind of gave it a whole Isaac Hayes vibe. While Method Man holds the song down on his own, it's like him by himself. Followed by the track "Frozen," where he matches the aggressive beat with like a faster flow, and with the song "Pearl Harbor," the beat is accompanied by like a sporadic organ keys that makes it a more like a head bobbing track. Of course, Method Man kills it again. I want to ask you, Drew, what did you think of Sean Price's verse on that song, which is the start off on that song?
Oh, God. I didn't write any of this down.
It's okay, because the reason I was impressed with Sean Price's verse is because I was like, it was kind of average, but at the same time, I was impressed by the fact that he found time to drop a verse, being the fact that he died 2 years ago. So I'm like, oh my God, this guy's killing it, and he's literally dead. It's like, holy shit. So
he killed it so well that he killed himself.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm done.
Now let's get to the song I was talking about. People Say is what turned me on to this record. Features most of the Clan, and Redman comes back again. The piano-driven beat with like the R&B soulful like singing for like the hook thought was good. And not only did Redman step his game up, but everybody's spitting bars. Example, Method Man. He says, "Mayday, mayday," but as charged, I'm nutty with the bars. That's a payday. This ain't even a bar. This is AA. And then Redman got a rhyme. He says, "Babies having babies wearing Old Navy, robbing old ladies. That's a product of no home training." Love that line. Inspector Deck comes on. "Pussy you whack like a cheap trick." Mike in the Billie Jean video. "I got the street lit." Fire! Son.
There were so many good lines on this album.
I know, right?
And the problem with my review of this album is that I mostly listened to it while I was driving and while I was at the gym, and something would hit my ear. I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta write that down. Oh, I can't. I don't have paper. Oh, damn it! And then it was like over, and like I forgot.
But the point Drew's saying is these guys are like
really clever dudes,
almost in their 50s, and they're more clever than like what you kids are hearing today. And I love the contrast on that song. People Say, well, the chorus is like being all about love, but like the verses deal with like gangster shit. But it's like what Method Man says in the opening verse. They are a product of the block, and I think I heard Old Dirty Bastard like at the end of the outro. Like, so it's like another zombie rapper on this record. It's like killing it. Two like dead rappers on the same fucking album. So I'm sorry, I gotta pull back a bit because I'm praising this record so much. I got some problems with the record. It got kind of mediocre during the second half. Like the bland reggae influence track "Way Way Way," the grandioso overproduced song "If What They Say Is True." And that song features Capadonna and the Jizza, which Capadonna is like kind of like the replacement of I feel like Old Dirty Bastard, even though like he's like been
irreplaceable.
Yeah, he's been with the group for a while, but Capadonna does well, but the Jizza, who is known for his sort of philosophical lyrics, like hardly has any lines. He just says like 4 lines and he's done. It's like, why is he even here then if he's not going to say anything? That's my problem with the whole record, which I'll get into in the end. But I don't want to like just say everything. I don't like, besides the fact you don't remember the lyrics, and you were saying like the hooks are not that good. Like, what were you saying what do you have to say about this record?
Well, here's the thing, and I'm just gonna get into my main review right now.
Okay.
I was not into rap in the 90s, and I kind of got more into it as I got older, like in my 20s.
I thought you were going to say I was into it in the 80s, but then in the 90s I was like, fuck this shit. Yeah, okay.
I'm a big fan of Run DMC. And,
Curtis Blow.
those first two Wu-Tang albums are really the only ones I could get into. A lot like what you said. The ones afterwards, it's just kind of all right. And the whole time that I was listening to this, I was thinking, I was like of two minds, where I'm like, shit, the hooks aren't that good, and ODB's presence is sorely missed.
Yeah,
he had like a bit of controlled insanity that he brought to the group, which was just so cool. And like he wasn't really talented at all, but he was like cool. Like he was weird and fucking insane and like fun, and that was a big part of Wu-Tang, and without him it's very different.
Yeah.
That being said, the production is really good. You know, the beats are fantastic. They're standout on any Wu-Tang album, really. I think they have some of the best beats in all of rap.
Yeah.
I was surprised that most of the guests were really good. And the whole time I was listening to this album, I was thinking, what am I going to give this? And I really had to divorce myself from the first two albums. And
okay, that's a good idea, yeah.
That being, like, nothing's ever going to live up to those first two albums.
Yeah.
Nothing these guys are ever going to do is going to live up to those first two albums, at least.
Yeah.
I was originally going to give this a download but I think I'm going to give it a buy it.
Wow, okay. All right.
It's not like anything else you're going to hear today. And while it's not going to be as good as 36 Chambers, it's still a really solid piece of hip-hop.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but obviously Drew said that he's not like that into the group from all the years or 90s rap or anything like that. But I'm going to do my rating right now. They really dropped the ball on this song called Hood Go Bang. Now, Drew was saying that he does not like Method Man and Redman together, but this track actually has the two of them together, just them by themselves, exclusively rapping. And it's an absolutely sick beat, as well as the lines from Method Man. Like, you know, he says, like, top shorter, Don Dada, rapper, rhyme proper, might take the R out of brother, why bother? I was like, damn, this guy is killing it. So basically, you're getting a song kind of similar to like the Blackout album that they were doing, Blackout 1 and 2 and 3. And then after his verse, we get like the hook again, and then the song just fucking ends. The song is barely like a minute and a half. I'm like, what the fuck? So that's my biggest issue with the album, and this is definitely a Wu-Tang album, I'll say. The beats are grimy most of the time. They pepper some kung fu-like movie samples throughout. It's not the raw, groundbreaking as their debut and sound, but it did bring me back to like the late 90s, early 2000s hip-hop sounds of like East Coast artists like Jadakiss and Noriega, so I was happy with that. So I guess my biggest issue with like this is like the other members like Raekwon, Ghostface, and the Jizz I mentioned earlier are hardly featured in this record. They're not even like putting in like, you know, words that Method Man is doing. It's like every track with Method Man is great except for that one I mentioned with Redman that was too short. So while I'm saying like the group it is definitely Wu-Tang, it's lacking the camaraderie of the early records. It doesn't feel like a whole like unit now. Now it's just like they're just phoning in like rhymes, and then Method Man, like,
it's a lot less cohesive.
Yeah, Method Man's like, I'm gonna like, you know, show what I can do, and Redman's like, well, I'll just come in too, and then he's spitting lines. It's just those two and all the guests. Like every other Wu-Tang member, it's kind of like, you know, I'll just send a rhyme in, whatever. You guys ain't here, so whatever. So I'm gonna say this album. I'm gonna go lower than Drew and say just download it, check it out, see if you like it. And if you, I'm not saying don't pay money for this. It's not like you want to buy a Wu-Tang album.
Take money out of take food out of their children's mouths.
Yeah, Wu-Tang is for the children, but it ain't for you. You know, go to the older stuff.
Here's a question I got for you: if they didn't call it Wu-Tang Clan, would you have rated it higher?
No, because they actually do that. They have like, you know, Lou Gambino, something like that, where it's just like the three of them. feature mostly on a record, and then it's like got other members on there, and those albums were better than this.
Because I feel like
Wu Mask. I can't remember the name of it, but I have an album that
actually
that's
now
pretty
that
good.
now that I'm thinking about it, now that you mentioned that, I'm thinking about like the different side projects. Like I feel like even like Bobby Digital is anything that he put out as Bobby Digital is better than this album.
Yeah, it's too late. You said your rating, so it's too late. It's already in the books.
Fuck.
Yeah, so if you want to,
No, it is a good record,
Yeah.
and the sorry state that hip hop is in today, you can do a lot worse than this
that's
album.
this is worse than that. So there were things.
It's not.
that,
It's
so.
not a bad record. It's not a great record though.
All right, so let us know in the comments what you think of the new Wu-Tang album, if you liked it or hated it, and what you would rate it. As well, we appreciate your comments, and I think Drew is onto something here. I'm going to also use the lavatory, and I'll be right back in a second. Where's that pause button, damn it? All right, so let's get to the last review tonight, and that is for the hardcore band Converge, their album The Dusk in Us. And they're from Massachusetts, the metalcore band. Can I say that word, metalcore? Don't dive on me. Okay.
They I feel like they started metalcore.
Yeah. This is their 9th album, and the band formed in 1990, and they were a 5-piece until they released their 4th album, Jane Doe, and then they became a 4-piece.
Because they realized that the second guitarist is unnecessary.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, that's weird to think, but usually when I think of these bands, it's usually 5 dudes up there, but because you got to have 2 guitars going at once, but somehow they make it work, and this lineup has been the same ever since. In 2004, Converge signed to the popular indie label Epitaph Records and have been releasing music there ever since, including the critically acclaimed 5th record, You Fail Me, and their most successful album, All We Love, We Leave Behind, in 2012, which was their last studio album until now. Converge are considered to be pioneers of the metalcore sound, which Drew was saying, and are known for their combination of hardcore punk with heavy metal in their sound. Their use of hardcore ranges from simple to like experimental, while vocalist Jacob Banyan's singing has been classified as more percussive and tonal than lyrical. Unfortunately for me, and then for the band as well, my first introduction to their Converge sound was the 1996 album Petitioning the Empty Sky.
Ooh, that's a rough one to get introduced to.
Really? Okay, so during my hardcore punk should only sound like Sick of It All and Youth Today phase is when I heard them. And I was immediately turned off from their complex like time signatures, constant screaming vocals. So I did not like it.
I think that's your problem. This goes back to integrity too.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody says hardcore punk to you, and you're like, "Oh, it's gonna sound like this." You gotta go in without expectations.
Every band that we're gonna talk about for reviews from that point, if I heard them at that time, I didn't like.
This isn't hardcore punk. This doesn't sound like NoFX.
Yeah. So I listened to like the album, the 3rd album, When Forever Comes Crashing, and Jane Doe years later. And I have a really slight respect for the guys. So, Drew, what is your backstory on this band?
They're one of the first hardcore bands I ever listened to. I got into them. The first experience with them was Jane Doe because I first started getting into hardcore or metalcore in 2001.
Wait a minute. So you're basically saying I heard them before you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
You're much more legit.
Yeah. Okay.
Jane Doe had come out a few months earlier, and I downloaded a few songs off of AudioGalaxy.com.
Dinosaurs here, man.
Yeah, and I ended up going out and buying Jane Doe, and it fucking blew my mind. And I got the albums before it, and I didn't like them as much. And then I came to appreciate them more over time, and I've more or less stayed with the band, although more recently I've been with less gusto that I've been listening to their newer work.
Okay, so those albums I said after Jane Doe, did you not like them as much?
Definitely. Here's the thing. Jane Doe is a really tough act to follow. It was one of the greatest albums in hardcore and metal of all time. And I don't think anybody would really argue with that. Maybe not the best, but it's definitely like top 10 material.
Yeah.
It was on another level. And every album following it has its moments, and overall they're solid, but it's a lot of, I don't know, it's tough to have the same feelings for each album.
Okay.
There's definitely songs. I mean, I've seen them a couple of times, and whenever they play stuff off of "You Fail Me" or "Axe to Fall" or "No Heroes," like
they get a reaction.
Yeah, they're good songs, and you know them, but they're not the album that I'm running to necessarily. It's usually when Forever Comes Crashing or Jane Doe that I'm going to listen to if I'm listening to Converge. If I get sick of those albums and I want to hear Converge, I'll listen to the later stuff.
Okay. So with this album, right away, with the first track, A Simple Tear, I was like completely impressed with how melodic like the guitar soloing was during the verses. Also, they had like a short but effective breakdown during like the transition to like the post-hardcore bridge. I don't want to say emo because I don't want to offend them, but there's like a post-hardcore bridge, and this track was like layered with like perfectly with like alternative metal and hardcore. I love how this album starts.
I think that they're finally going all in on what they've been experimenting with the last few albums, where they've been trying to do more post-metal, trying to do more almost like emo or post-hardcore, mixing that in with the album.
I thought that was great, man. And
it starts off excellent.
One of the things I love about these guys and that they do on this album, and what I love about hardcore punk, is that these songs are short. Like the tracks, like Eye of the Coral, Wildlife, they're under 3 minutes, and they incorporate some fast-paced drumming, like chaotic, like song structure,
and and especially Wildlife and
I love how
Eye of
short these songs are.
That's typical Converge, I feel like. But even those songs, I feel like are standouts. Like if they had been on
earlier stuff,
those would have been standouts on those albums.
Yeah, so like the urgent like yelling vocals like remind me of like other melodic hardcore bands. Like the only one I can think of like is like kind of like Shelter, but like not as punky as them. Songs like Broken by Light and Cannibals are like under 2 minutes, and I love those songs too. And that's some like that Black Flag, like Minor Threat song length. Like Converge really captured like the essence and the short attention span of early hardcore, and I love that shit. Now we're gonna have to get to this song that's like the fucking like elephant in the room. Title track is over 7 minutes long. Starts with like a quiet, like a clean guitar riff that like matches like Brandon's soft, ominous vocals with like the complex like departure, like a complete departure, I should say, from like all the screaming that we heard on every other track. Eventually, it builds to like this gloom metal like a crescendo before like the vocals switch back to like yelling. And I think it's a song we're gonna really talk about mostly for a second. Like I felt the song completely halted the momentum of this record and was really out of place. And
I disagree completely.
So generic, but what do you say?
I would love to listen to this album on vinyl because I bet you that's the last song on side A or the first song on side B. Mm-hmm. It splits up the album perfectly.
Okay, so you like that?
It slows it down to bring it back up.
But it sounds so. I'm gonna say that the word is really generic, like structurally song. It's not like anything. For what they were doing earlier with the complex like tom signatures and the faster stuff, to have like a really standard like metal song,
it does not everything. Not everything has to be complex and crazy.
For them it does. Damn it!
Sometimes you can just it can be slow and it could be sad, emotional. The song is dark. Just get high to the song and get over your problems. That's the point of the song.
Okay,
and then you can rage to the rest of the album.
I don't know. I didn't like that song, but I see what you're saying. But for what I'm hearing, it just sounded like
you have a problem with songs over 5 minutes. I think
I do, and I saw that song list. I'm like, fuck. But I'm like, you know what? I'll go into it. It's fine. But the song sounds so
Integrity. That they had one song that was like 8 minutes long on their album.
Acacia Strain. Yeah,
Acacia Strain. You ripped that album to shreds because of that final song.
Yeah, I can't stand that shit. Well, actually, those songs are better than this one. This song is so bland to me. That's all I can say.
I thought it was good. I thought it fit perfectly. I thought it was if you put this at the end of the album, I don't think it would have worked as well.
I was gonna say
And
that.
if you put it at the beginning, it wouldn't have worked as well. Put it
Right,
right in
right.
the middle because it's manic and it's weird and it's emotional and it's tough at the beginning of the album, and then you slow it down and then it comes back up and it gets you back in the mood. It's like I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they played this live and put it right in the center of their set list because it's perfect.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll
It's- it's perfect for
We'll
them.
agree to disagree on that one. The song "Triggered" opens up with like this thick, distorted bass line that like
Yeah.
carries like the entire track. With while the guy's name is Kurt Balo, adds like that when in guitar.
So much distortion for such a well-produced album.
Yeah, I love that song, but I gotta give credit to like the drummer. He really deserves a lot of attention for this album. The percussion and his ability to like start and stop on a dime is like
And his fills.
impeccable.
He's got so many fills. He's got fills for days.
Yeah, just listen to the song. I think it's called Merc and Marrow, and you can hear how fucking sharp this man is on the kit.
Also, how hard is that fucking breakdown in Mark and Marrow?
Yeah, love that shit. It's brief though, but it's like it's there, and it's like you just want to like knock your headphones off.
Ah.
And just like slam shit in
So badass.
in your cubicle because that's where I listen to this thing. I like the diversity in vocals on this band. Jacob does like a really good job of switching from like goth like singing to like grindcore like vocals depending on what the style of this track is.
I think his vocals are a standout on this album.
Yeah.
I was shocked at how much because he can do that. Those vocals he just doesn't in Converge. You know, he's done those vocals in side projects before, and he even did those vocals early on in Converge, but then stopped to just do the barking. Rah, rah, rah.
Yeah,
And
I love that, man.
it added such a different element to this album.
Yeah. So despite my personal preference for fast and quick like hardcore punk songs to like the mid-tempo like metalcore riffs, this album is like a fair balance between the old and new school.
Yeah.
And I thought that mediocre title track, like what you were saying, I was like, this song should have been at the end of the record. But that last song on this record called Reptilian is so perfect. Like it's like a perfect bookend of the record. So I'm like, no, it wouldn't work there. It was better either leave it in the middle or take it off entirely. But yeah, good record. Like this band has been like, you know, consistently doing like, you know, what we expect, fine, good albums. They have not crescendoed and made their masterpiece like Dillinger Escape Plan, but they are a good band. And this album, I would say you should definitely buy. It's a good record.
I going into this, I didn't know what you were going to give it.
Really?
Yeah.
Why so?
I thought it could go either way. I thought you were going to kind of
either buy it or fuck it. You don't know.
yeah, I honestly, I thought you were going to go right down the middle and give it a download this because that seems to be what you do with the heavier stuff. Or you're like, it's pretty good.
Yeah, but I don't like everything.
Give it a listen.
But from what I heard about this band and the earlier albums and Jane Doe, and I haven't heard anything in between Jane Doe and this one. But they are, you know, they're really doing a good job of what they do, and they are encompassing all different styles and everything. And that first track really pulled me in. Like I was like, yes, if this band can keep that momentum on the whole record and make the songs under 2 minutes, I'm good. So
short songs,
yeah,
so you can get out of here quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Personally, while I've liked every Converge album since Jane Doe, none of them have quite been the game changer that album was. And every album has standout songs, and I'm always happy when they play them live. I'll always give their new album a listen, and they're always a solid band. But the problem is not a single one has really stood out, like I said. Usually when I talk about Converge, or a new Converge album, I should say, I always say good, not great. Every member has side projects, like Where Your Wounds, Mutoid Man, Doom Riders, etc., that seem to be where they get their creativity out. But the 5 years they took off from writing songs for Converge while collaborating with others seems to have recharged their batteries. This album is everything I want from a Converge record. Dangerous, unhinged, dark, innovative, and multifaceted. Simply put, this is easily their best work in 16 years and is a new benchmark for one of the best bands in heavy metal and hardcore punk. I'm going to give this album The first time I've given an album this, I'm gonna give it a praise this.
What? Holy shit! Oh my god! I think you oversold yourself, but okay, we'll go with that. He's saying this is gonna be a contender for the best album of the year. Everybody,
tune in next time to see if it makes the list.
This is the list of the top 10 records of 2017. Oh my god, I can't believe this shit.
I was blown away by this record.
Wow,
I thought that,
holy shit,
especially after their last album, which to me, while it had some great songs on it, and I still listen to. It was overly long. I think it had like 15 songs on it. A lot of the songs sounded the same. And, 5 of the songs were amazing. And I kind of just wish they put out an EP with those 5 songs.
Yeah.
And this album took those 5 songs and just morphed it. It's all killer, no filler with this album. Whereas, the last album felt kind of bloated. And I think they should always take 5 years off between writing albums because they put their all into it. Go out there, see the world, do your side projects, do whatever the fuck you want, and then come back and bring your A game. That's what I'm saying.
Jesus Christ, man! Wow! Oh my God! Praise.
This is I would say, if not as good as Jane Doe, very close.
Okay, so let us know in the comments because I'm sure you guys heard this new album and you're gonna have some criticisms that Drew did not have whatsoever. If you heard a new Converge, let us know in the comments if you liked it or hated it, and tell us your rating for that as well. We appreciate all that. Jesus Christ, is that good? Yeah, I think with me is that middle song. If that was not there, I would be on your level. But like, it didn't change my life. I thought it was a good record, but since you're like wanting to convert it, as they say,
this is gonna be, mark my words, another 5-10 years. It's gonna be Jane Doe, this album, and maybe Axe to Fall. Those are going to be the ones that people are talking about when they talk about Converge.
When they go to their funerals and look at their caskets. Yeah. Wow, I remember those albums. They were great. All right, so we finished everything up. I appreciate you guys being out there and everything. Let's wrap up. We are going to actually be doing 2 more shows before we're done for the year, so stay tuned for that. And we'll talk later, Drew. I see the look in your eye. You're like, what are the dates?
I didn't sign up for 2 shows.
All right, so let's get out of here right now. I appreciate you guys staying for the whole almost 2 hours. We might be under 2 hours if I can stop talking. We can get to the outro stuff right now. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Thank you for Admiral Nelson for helping out for my
Admiral Nelson
lack of
Rear
sobriety.
Admiral.
Yes, and Budweiser, and thank you, Drew, for driving out here in the dark because now it's so dark. This is time,
or one might say, the dusk.
The dusk
in us.
Oh my God, puns! You guys laugh at that, please. Some audience laughter. There we go. Funnier than Fuller House. I'll tell you that right now. They should have you in the writing room. All right, so we'll be back. So right now, let's get out of here. Want to get in touch with us? Our website is now up, njhabbitradio.net. You can see all our shows on one convenient hub. Also, you can go to if you want to email us any questions, go to our Gmail, which is njhabbitradio@gmail.com. Email us your question, your comments, your insight, your opinions, everything like that. We are also on YouTube. Type in Hybrid Radio on YouTube and make sure when you find us on YouTube, you subscribe to our channel. Facebook.com/NJHybridRadio. And when you find us on there, like us. And finally, you can follow us on Twitter @NJHybridRadio. Until next time, this has been Jarrell and Drew. Hardcore Drew. Saying have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.
Bye-bye. I got like 5 shows